Happy 2021, y'all. We'll call this a 2020 tree. This is when this fruit punch mango gave up the ghost a couple months ago, about 2 months to be exact. I've just left it here because I've been pretty disheartened. Haven't been doing any updates, haven't really been doing much gardening, but I still come out and water everything. Can't let what I have left die, but I do have to say I'm pretty bummed out about this fruit punch mango tree dying on me. If you've seen all the work that I put through in trying to grow it in its pot, rid it of its anthracnose, get it healthy enough to put in the ground, only to watch it die before my very eyes, bit by bit. Looking around, the general consensus is that certain Florida rootstocks, namely one being turpentine, do not work well in Southern California. They get like a bacterial disease, and then the trees die. Someone suggested next time I either import soil or I completely drench the soil I'm using with worm castings, beneficial microbes, that type of thing. But I have drenched this pile with worm castings. I've been feeding it worm tea, giving it rainwater, giving it occasional kelp fish emulsion. It's just that the soil that I used, which was a blend of native soil, sand, cactus, citrus soil, just a mixture of things, clearly did not work. One user said that maybe I didn't water it enough during the summer, during the height of the heat wave we were having, but I did make sure that this mound was moistened, and on very hot days I completely drenched this mound with water. I had a moisture meter. I kept my eye on this thing. I don't think it was for lack of water that it died. I really do think it was some kind of a soil sickness or bacteria that did it, because if you take a look, and the reason why I'm not completely depressed, we'll get to my dying avocado tree. The reason why I'm not completely depressed is my Manila mango is doing well, even though it's really floppy, but it's pushing new growth. I've got new leaves over here, no issues whatsoever. I've also got a Keat mango that is still doing well. It's 1 year old, growing in a pot, and everything else is doing well. You know, my pear tree is still alive. I've got a beauty plum that's completely acting wacky since it flowered out of season. I removed all the flowers. It's still got leaves. It should have dropped all its leaves by now, this being winter. But anyways, I finally took the beauty plum that was in its pot and I put it in the ground, mounded it a bit. So I've got the beauty plum over here, the pluot still alive, the flavor king, the dapple dandy, and now here's my avocado tree, which is going to be ripped out today and repotted. I'm not going to mess around anymore. I've spent way too much time trying to get this thing to grow back, but after a couple heat waves, it damaged my tree, dropped all its leaves, started getting dieback. I've been cutting it down. It's been teasing me because it put out new growth, and then you can see like all these little buds poking out like it wants to grow new branches, but this main branch is showing dieback, and I'm just done. I'm going to pull this sucker out. The shock will probably kill it, but I will try and put it back in the pot and regrow it, see how it does. But today, the reason I'm doing an update is I finally feel up to continuing the task of growing things around here. So I am going to go out and pick up another avocado tree. I'm not going to get one of those $150, 15-gallon, 4-year-old trees, the ones that die every time I transplant them. I'm going to get a smaller one. A lot of people recommend buying a younger tree that will grow into its new place. It won't have been sitting for ages in a container where it's subject to being root bound. And they just say that older, more mature trees are a lot more difficult to transplant. They don't take to transplanting well. So I'm going to buy myself a younger tree, pop it in here, pull this sucker out, and we'll see what happens. That will be avocado tree number 3. I got to think of what variety I want to grow. This is my Moro Blood Orange. It sprouted some stems here, so this is still alive and thriving. That's one of the positives going on around here. My little blueberry bush has gone into flower, so we'll have a handful of blueberries from this little bush I bought here as its co-pollinator for this other blueberry bush, which is not going into flower. So I don't know how it's supposed to help the production on this one if they aren't even flowering at the same time, but whatever. They're both alive. Citrus trees are alive. This one that had a bunch of leaf drop and had issues being chlorotic is looking kind of raggedy. It's still alive. I kind of distinctly remember that they should be flowering right now, so I don't know what's going on. But it's been a weird growing season. The weather's been great. We're going to be looking at 70, 75 degrees this coming week here inland in Zone 10A. So I've been starting a bunch of vegetables in containers. If you can see over there, my tree collards are doing well. I've got these tree kale that I picked up from Plant Abundance. Shout out to the YouTube grower Plant Abundance. Picked up some seeds from him right before all the crap with the pandemic started, so I transplanted one over here. This is tree kale. This should actually grow taller than me, which isn't that hard since I'm around 5'6" anyways. But this is tree kale. I've got some pepper plants that I transplanted over here. No frost whatsoever. These plants are just going to grow right through the spring, which is good because I've got a San Marzano tomato plant. This is a volunteer that sprung out of nowhere, so I put a cage around it. Here's another volunteer San Marzano tomato plant growing nicely. So we're going to have heaps of tomatoes this spring. But I don't know what to do with this citrus tree. This is the mandarin that refuses to fruit or flower, and that I've been kind of lazy to pull it out. Plus I don't really like to hurt the tree since it's still alive, but it's not producing, so I got to figure out what to do. And I don't know what to put here now. So for the few audience members I do have, if you have any suggestions of what kind of a tree I should grow here between the persimmon tree and the pomegranate tree that will do well in a spot that has poor drainage, which is why I have this mango on a mound. But the drainage is poor in this area. But if you guys have any suggestions of what I should put here, let me know. Otherwise, I might just even leave it for maybe the next owners to be able to enjoy a fruit tree of their own choosing, since I don't plan to stay for very many more years, even though this is a great spot. Great view. It's just an HOA. I don't like the rules. I don't like having to pay a monthly fee. Plus, everybody's getting the hell out of California. I don't want what I've been able to save and work for to be eaten away by taxes and all that stuff. Plus, I don't have a family. This house deserves a family. Kids running around in the yard and all that kind of stuff. Having me just live here is ridiculous. So I'm going to be off traveling the world, settle down in a nice little place, Maybe bump out a few kids, who knows? Anything could happen. I'm still fertile. What else should I talk about? Anything exciting? Well, everything's alive. I mean, this is the Jujube Tree. And I'm actually air layering a branch so I can have a Jujube Tree. I'm going to probably take a sample or try to grow a branch off of every tree I have here. So when I do move, I will have trees in containers that have been air layered off of every tree I have here. I've got a pomegranate successfully rooted. This is the top of the dapple dandy that I took off. And then I just need to take a branch off of this guava tree, do one for the persimmon tree, and that's about it. So eventually I'm going to have replicas of all the fruit trees here growing in containers, and when I decide to skedaddle, I'll have something to remember this place and all the fruit trees that were put in by my father. So I guess this has been the winter wrap-up. We'll just end it on my poor dying avocado tree. Say goodbye, everybody, as we're going to repot this thing, and I'm going to go out and pick up a new avocado tree today. So life continues. You can't let things get you down. We'll just focus on this and everything on this lovely view that I have. And I hope you're all having a better 2021 than was what you had last year. Take care, everybody.